Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today I'm going to be unboxing this E&C Patriot Strike PDW. Hey guys, welcome back. If you do enjoy this content today, please do consider liking, commenting and subscribing. Those interactions help the channel get seen and help it grow. If you do use the Linktree link down below, that will take you to all of my socials, including my Discord. I have now released merch as well, which is linked on that Linktree link down in the description. And if you want to support the channel a little bit more, channel memberships are now open. 99p a month, custom videos, bloopers, extra giveaways, that kind of stuff. Totally optional, really appreciated. So today then I've got my first ever E&C East Crane replica to unbox. So again, thanks to Andy, the owner of the recent NDRS TM recoils. I've got this to unbox. So the box itself then, fairly just simple, black box, nothing really massively detailed about it. I am partial to a nice box, but at the end of the day, most of it just throw them out anyway, so it's a little bit unneeded. So lifting the lid then, we have got a double-sided poster. So on one side, we've got a rather nice poster for our man cave. In fact, it's even bigger than I thought. And then we flip it sort of other half and inside, and there is all manner of accessories and everything in here, just as a bit of a catalogue, I suppose, for their back catalogue of products. We've got the receipt, so we picked this up from Defcon Airsoft. It was on offer at the time that we got this, and with shipping we paid about £243 at the time. This is end of April 2022. We've also got a manual. Now, that manual is a generic manual. I do like it when they go that little bit extra effort just to make the manual match to the actual specific piece. Some of this stuff is not relevant, some of it is entirely relevant. I'm led to believe it's got a radial hop, rotation hop, and not the old style M4, so obviously a little bit outdated, but a general manual anyway. So lift this foam up, there she is. Now that's a fairly pretty piece. I am quite impressed with this. I'm looking forward to this. So in this box then, in the foam tray, there is just the high cap and the Patriot itself. So I'll get the high cap out. So we've got a sort of P Magpul style high cap, opening at the top, fairly solid, fairly decent. I'll be testing that when I do the Chrono and rate of fire test. And then we've got the Patriot itself. Now, that is quite a chunk of metal, and it is a full metal construction, which I'm really impressed with. There is some real heft to that beast. So, get that out of the way. Initially, it's a little bit nice. We'll get that mag in there. It's not, I suppose it's not just a generic M4. It is a little bit different just with the styles they're going for, and they're obviously a little bit more compact nature of it. So obviously it's a PDW, is it personal defense weapon? So a little bit more compact, short little stock, and it's obviously modeled on the Strike Industries Patriot PDW, which I'm really liking this. So at the front then we've got the metal cookie cutter style muzzle brake. Now, I'm going to be honest, that's the only bit. I think with the look in general, it works. But on its own, I just kind of look at it and like, not sure about that. But that is on a 14mm negative thread under there. And it just unwound easily as you could want. No real effort, so I'll just tighten that back down. We've then got an M-lock free float rail. Now, in terms of barrel movement, let's have a look at that. Just be careful, there are some sharp edges on here. Just catching myself a little bit, particularly underneath. There are some sharp edges around some of these, so just point of observation there. But there is virtually no movement in there, which obviously shows just how solid this must be built. So all of this is metal. We've got our front flip-up sight and our rear flip-up sight. Let's see if I can get a view down there. There we go, that's quite tricky to do from an odd angle. And the rear sight can be flipped over as well for a smaller aperture on the rear sight. Now they will come off with just a Phillips head screwdriver will take those straight off, and then you've got quite a lot of rail space across the top there, which it's got a bit of a break in the middle. I'm not sure if you can get an M-lock in there or not. It does look suspiciously like an M-lock mounting point. Why you would want to, I'm not entirely sure, but there is a gap there. So moving back onto the receiver then, so we've got a full metal receiver with Strike Industries, remove the mag, branding on it. Nice generic sort of AR type receiver really, as you can see. We've got quite a flashy charging handle. I do like this charging handle, which has some Strike Industry branding on it, and oh, I like that. It does lock open the mock bolt plate as well, exposing the hop. So we have got a rotational hop there, so the little side wheel. Now got a hop, so we'll get her in. I bet that's the hop fully on. I believe it's rolled down to apply hop, but I will double check that before I do the chrono and everything like that. And then to release it, but press the bolt release, and there goes the bolt cover. I'll show you that. I do like it when they put that in, A, because it's easy to access the hop unit, and B, it's just a cool little feature to have that lock open and ping back shut. We've then got a really comfortable pistol grip. I do like the design of this. I quite like this sort of like aggressive cut of a trigger guard, but no, I was going to say potential sharp edges, but actually that's quite comfortable under there, and we've got a serial number and a bit of branding on it as well. That is thread lock put on the motor adjustment screw there as well, but it does look like it's an easy opening pistol grip. That's quite handy. Click shot nicely. Now the pistol grip itself is polymer, and it's really nice to hold. The trigger as well, they've gone for an enhanced style. Now those corners, just be careful, those little corners at the bottom, a little bit sharp, so if you're going to be bare fingered, you're possibly going to scratch yourself on that a lot, so just be careful with that. Gloves are probably advisable. And then we've got our PDW stock with spring-loaded stock. Now that is probably something I would spend a lot of time messing with, quite happily sit and mess with that. I think the only problem from my pre-looks is this is the battery containment space, and I'll have a tinker with it whilst I'm doing the chrono, checking everything like that, but I can see that this is potentially going to be a little bit of a problem for me, just because it's such a tiny little battery space. So what I'm going to do at this point then is I'm going to go and do the usual chrono rate of fire checks and everything, the range check, and then we'll come back and we'll see how we're getting on. Max 309, min 306, average 308. About 9-10 rounds a second. About 13.5 to 14 rounds a second. About 16 rounds a second. About 20 rounds a second. Nice. about 50 metres, near, just short of 50 metres. Okay, so I am back from the range and chrono check then. So we'll start with the magazine, absolutely fed perfectly, flawlessly, first time, every time. I just kept making sure to keep it wound between every single test, and it fed absolutely lovely. I was really, really happy with that. I was correct, the hop was fully on, so it is rolled down to add hop. So I've turned the hop fully off. So we're getting 306 to 309 FPS with an average of 308. Out of the box to be that consistent and only a 3 FPS variant is pretty damn. I was really, really impressed with that. Really, really happy with it. And thought that was really, really consistent. I don't know if you watched the chrono at all during the rate of fire, but we did see a little bit more fluctuation at that point. That I'm not sure whether that's just the spring bedding in or if that's changes in weights of the BBs. All the shooting tests were done on 0.2 gram BBs, apart from the range test. But the chrono single shots consistently was very, very consistent. So in terms of rate of fire then, we're getting about quite sluggish on a 7.4, about 8-9 rounds a second. Still not terrible, you know, it's still enough to sort of eliminate other players. But people are obviously looking for that little bit bit more snappiness out of it. On the 8.4 volt NIM then, we jumped up from the 7.4, which was 8 to 9, to 13-14 rounds on the 8.4 volt NIM. We then jumped again to the 9.6 to 16 round, and I felt like it sort of came alive here a little bit and really sort of opened up. And then it really pleased me no end when 11.1 went in and we got the sort of 20 rounds a second, and it just felt like that was it. That was the sweet spot right there. That 11.1 volt battery really sort of came into its own then and sprang into life. In terms of range then, similar to what I found with JG's is I was turning hop, nothing was really happening, and I got to full hop and kept firing, and the couple of shots after full hop, nothing happened, and then I could see it lifting up, and then as I was doing more shots, I could see that they were starting to curl a little bit, so I had to start unwinding the hop unit back off. So potentially a little bit of grease in there or something like that. So a bit of maintenance possibly needed when they're straight out of the box. But it was easily hitting over 45 meters without any problems whatsoever at 310 FPS. And that was using 0.25 gram BBs that I was shooting down range with. So really, really happy with that performance. That 11.1 is the sweet spot. Really sweet spot. In terms of the stock then, this is an issue, and I've had a little bit of a play about with it. So there are two ways to get into the battery containment space. The first one, which is the easiest one and the most logical one, is we pull on the end cap. That just comes off and it's like a rubberized end cap. And then we have a little plate at the end here that just unscrews, and we have a tiny little battery space in there, and I mean it is very tiny. There is a silver lining here coming in just a second. Now, just to confirm, out of the box brand new, it did not have a Dean's connector on it. It had a mini Tamiya type connector on it. After the rate of fire tests and what have you, Andy basically come and got it and fit a Dean's to it because he wanted a Dean's to it, and then gave it me back for me to finish off the rest of the video and everything. So just to confirm, it does not come with a Dean's. It comes with a mini Tamiya connection on it, and all the rate of fire figures are purely with the mini Tamiya on it. So back to the batteries then. Now that is with the battery tube fully compressed, and I'm going to show you that you can adjust the length of this. So first thing I'm going to do is grab a couple of batteries to show you. So I've rated my battery box for a variety. So I've got a 1200 thin stick type there from Nuprol, 7.4. Now that goes in, and it is obviously, blatantly obvious, far too long. That's a problem. Okay, we'll get rid of that one. Next one, I've got an 8 fields 1200. Now I can drop that in and it goes most of the way, but not quite all the way in. Still a little bit of a problem. I've then got an 11.1 1100 from Nuprol, which will go, again, just inside, but it's going to get impacted on by the threads by the end cap going on. Now, this sort of rubber bung on the end, I suppose you can get away without the cap going on the end, but this as you can see, I don't know how well you can see that, I can't quite tell properly by looking at my camera phone screen, but there are little ridges down there. They need to go all the way on to be secure. Otherwise, anywhere else, and it's just a bit, you can see there it's a bit wobbly. It goes down and it stays in place. Now, here's where we can change things up a little bit. So I'm going to pull the battery wire back out again, like that. And what I can do is, I can loosen this off, and I am effectively extending the battery compartment here. So I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep going until it comes off initially, which is there. So it's come out initially. I'm just going to loosely screw that back in just to get a purchase. Now, this separate ring, so I'm holding this still, this then will tighten back down. I mean, this does present its own problems, and I'll discuss that in a second, but that will then tighten back down. So I have added more space onto here for battery compartment. So if I bring the 1200 back in now, it's obviously still far too long, but I've covered a lot more of that battery going in there now. Get that out of the way. Bring the 8 Pheas 1200 in, and suddenly that one almost fits in. It will fit in without the screw end cap going in, and possibly a little bit of space for putting wiring in. The 1100 will go in and has space for the wires and everything to go in, hide under there, and put the end cap on. So we can adjust this. Now, the issue with this is that this stock, and you can possibly see, it's just casting marks. There are basically these little lines here with the circles on. Those are causing issues against this, beg your pardon, against this part of the stock here. So if I put that on, let's tighten it up. So what I'll see if I can show you what I mean by that. So if I now start pushing that down, it sticks against the stock here and here. Let's see if I can get that on the camera there. It's sticking against there. So you are not going to be able to compress the stock without either brute forcing it through, which is potentially going to damage something anyway, or potentially just shaving a little bit off here and here, or the same underneath here, just to give it free passage. I can get, there we go, free passage past that bit, or you're just going to have to leave it with the stock fully out. Now, for me, that fully extended stock is actually very comfortable. It gives me a good shouldering position. I quite like my kit to be as close into me as possible, so that is a very good seating position for me, and I'm quite happy with that. Other people might want a longer reach, might want shorter, so obviously an extra notch in the middle would have been better, just to have a bit more variation. The only complaint really I've got is around this, and in the disassembly we'll look about if we can swap this out for anything else, but that's the only real sticking point, will be that battery section there. I will provide links to down below to these two batteries for those that want to look at them. So next thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to bring in my gloves, and we're going to do the gloved operation and see how we can get on with this. Thank you to Lauren for suggesting this many moons ago now. So get that in there. Muzzle brake, no issues adjusting that. Front sights, absolutely simple to mess with those and adjust them as well. The rear one does adjust left and right, and the front one can be adjusted as well. Didn't realise that. Put those back down. In terms of the mag, I would have liked an enhanced mag catch, maybe an extended button or something, but not a deal breaker, just something to be aware of. High cap in and out easily. I can easily work that and wind it. I haven't got an issue with that. In terms of charging handle, I can access the hop very easily and adjust it. I'm actually quite aware, which is unusual, how much adjustment I'm making. I can feel sort of like the movement, although there's no clicking like you get on a TM, which is quite nice that you know that you've got the click that is adjusted. I can see, because there's so much here, I can see that I am adjusting it. So I'm quite happy with that. Bolt release, easy peasy. I'll take the end cap off a second. Now I can definitely get that off all right. This end cap, a bit fiddly. Well, let's face it, with this battery compartment, you're not going to be making a tactical battery change mid-firefight because it's just a bit of a pain to sort of handle and do. The other way you could have changed the battery is to completely, I just realised I didn't mention it earlier, the other way is to completely unscrew this tube and then put a battery in, but then you're spinning a tube with a battery, you're potentially going to crimp your wires, so obviously that's the best way to put the battery in. So I can't quite deal with that part of the stock, but I can easily handle messing with that as well. And the selector, nice and easy. Obviously based on the AR platform, they're sort of intended to be used, I suppose, with gloves and things like that. So it was on offer for 240, well, with shipping I think we paid £243 from Defcon Airsoft, who posted it out really quickly, especially over a bank holiday weekend, so appreciated that immensely. It is very solid, and the weighting of it, you know, it's a good couple of kilograms in weight there, but it doesn't feel unwieldy. Definitely a little bit more front heavy than back heavy, and that's because you've got this big rail unit and a big chunky muzzle brake at the front. It is going to look rather nice and spiffing with, you know, some cool accessories on there. Just slightly let down by the stock. It is a quick change spring system in the back there, which we'll explore in the disassembly video, and it is an 8mm gearbox, so there is some real strong positives there. It's the first one I've ever had, and I've heard really good things about E&C stuff being solid build quality, so I'm looking forward to the disassembly video coming up soon. So really happy with it. I think it's a great piece of kit. The performance I think definitely comes alive at the 11.1 point. And really cool. What I did notice is when we switched to the Deans, on the 11.1 with the mini Tamiya, single shot was fine. On an 11.1 with a Deans connector, we did get double shots quite frequently, where the gearbox couldn't stop basically from the inertia of the 11.1, so would double shot on single. Possibly might be something that beds in over time, you know, the cut-off lever, but it's just something to be aware of, that the 11.1 we used, which I'll show you. So that's the typical 7.4 volt that we use, and that's the 11.1 that we use as well. They do double shot on that with the 11.1 with the Deans connector. But I didn't get it on the Tamiya, which says that the sort of power being allowed to go through is flowing a little bit more easily than through the Tamiya is. But that's just obviously an observation for people to be aware of. But I've been really happy with this. The build quality I think is absolutely exceptional. It is absolutely solid. You know, there's no movement. The outer barrel, there's no movement. The receiver, there's no movement. It just feels and exudes that sort of build quality, which you would want and you would look for, really, is that build quality in it. So I'm really happy with it, and I'm excited to see what it's like inside. So I hope that's been helpful. I will leave the usual photos and sort of key facts from this at the end. Please do remember to like, comment and subscribe, and use the link down below to visit all of my socials and my Discord, and I will see you next time. Bye.